So welcome, Wild Wednesday, and I am glad you are here, Young. So today we're going to play a little bit wacky in our yoga poses. We're going to do kind of walking on the wild side or the shadow side. The neat thing about yoga is that there are so many different styles of yoga out there, and even within the styles, there are so many different ways to make a pose work for you. And sometimes it can almost feel like you're breaking the rules when you do these actions, but I love to keep in the back of our mind that it's not rules that we're looking for with yoga, but it's principles. Because rules kind of come and go and they can shift and change, but these principles of alignment, these basic foundations and structures that we want present in our yoga poses in our life, we want those always present because they're principles. They're part of who we are. And even if we're fingers opened or closed in a pose, that's a technicality, like a little rule, but the principle can always be present of maintaining your strength, being grounded, breathing, making room for the breath. So in the poses we do today, it'll be kind of like breaking or bending the rules, so to speak, because we're going off the normal tradition, taking slightly different stance in some of the poses. But the idea is that the principles always remain the same. And I'll go over that during the class, what I mean with the principles. So here it goes. Taking your seat, I invite you to close your eyes and welcome in a few deep breaths. And as you welcome in these deep breaths, relax your jaw and go back to the image of the flame in the upper belly. And when you think of rules or different structures that help us to either be in a space where we feel safe, where we feel seen, where we feel taken care of, just take a breath into that for a moment. And even recognize how that shifts depending on where we are in life or even where we are geographically. So maybe if we are going back to school, like some of our kids are, there are certain rules when we're in or at a young age in school that are meant for our safety, that are meant for everyone to have an opportunity to hear and to learn. And as we grow into the adventurous adulthood and go out into the land of entrepreneurism, which seems like a bit of a Wild West, the rules shift and change again because our geography, our engagement is a little different. But that principle, wherever we are, whatever age we are, the principle of like the golden rule is something that never changes. That offering of our heart and that really taking care of one another. So as you're here in your seat, what I invite you to do is I invite you to relax again the jaw. Just bring through some energy for the throat. So I'm definitely clearing. And from here, gently bring the hands together to Anjali Mudra, the prayer position. And I invite you to open with me if you'd like, singing an Om. Let's welcome our breath now. Om. Now I'm going to keep coughing. All right. It's a good clearing. I love this. So one of the interesting things is that to clear energy, coughing is one of the ways we do it. So hopefully you can still hear me, Young. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll come to a downward facing dog, something that is familiar. All right. So in downward facing dog, you're going to plant your feet, still hip distance wide, and your hands shoulder distance. All right. So I'm hoping you can still hear me, Young. Let me see. Maybe you can't hear me. Can you hear me or no? You can? Okay, cool. All right. So what I'm doing with the video is a little bit something different. Oh, I'm seeing the message now. Going to switch connections. Okay, excellent. All right. So with the video, I'm using just my normal camera with the laptop instead of my fancy camera because I feel like that was causing audio issues. All right, so from downward dog, head heavy and relaxed. You can bend the knees one at a time. So the coughing is an energetic clearing. And it was funny because in my early days when I studied with my first energy teacher, she would cough all the time during our sessions. So sometimes it's us clearing for ourselves, sometimes it's clearing for the group or the other person. But breaking the rules, that can be a big deal, right? Especially when we have been brought up in a culture, in a society, like, oh, break the rules. What? No, never. So stretch both legs straight and steady, head heavy. And on the next inhalation, shift forward into plank pose. And from plank, slowly bend the arms and lower all the way to the belly. Inhale, shift the heart up into cobra. And on the exhale, downward facing dog. Lift the hips up and back. In this downward dog, lift the right leg high to the sky. And as you hug the arms towards one another, bend the right leg at the knee, opening up the hip and the thigh. Big side body stretch. Then release right foot to the floor. Lift left leg high to the sky, hugging your forearms towards each other. Bend the left leg at the knee. Big side body thigh stretch. And then exhale, lower the foot down to the ground. Now at the end of the next breath, slowly walk the feet forward to the top of your space, forward bend, Uttanasana. And as you come into the forward bend, bend your knees so thighs and belly meet. Draw the belly in and slowly, slowly roll all the way up. Inhale, reach the arms high. Exhale, fold forward, fingertips to the floor. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward. Exhale, step right foot back, high lunge. All right, so still kind of in the basic warm-up of the poses, getting our body ready, awake, alert. So alignment techniques or alignment rules and poses like this, are fairly loose. You want your feet hip distance wide. You want to make sure that the spine is long. Inhale, step forward, forward bend, and we'll switch. Step left leg back, high lunge. Then you take a breath. Now as you take the breath, we're going to, for a moment, just kind of tap into the first principle of alignment. And that is breathing. It's saying yes to life and making space within your body to receive life, to receive the breath. The yogis call it prana, our life force, our breath. Inhale, step forward, forward bend. Back to the first side, step right leg back, high lunge. Now spreading the back toes. The second principle is engagement. We want to tone the muscles to protect the joints. We want to get the muscles supporting us and working. So as you take that deep breath and you welcome life first, tone the muscles, spread the back toes, squeeze the inner thighs towards each other, and even draw from the periphery of the feet all the way into the core of the belly. Isometrically draw the feet towards each other so you feel the muscles working. Inhale, step forward. Step left leg back, high lunge. You welcome the breath. You spread the back toes, hug the inner thighs towards each other, and isometrically draw right foot and left foot towards one another. So principle of alignment, we're engaging. Now, if you ever feel like you get a pinch here in the front of the hip or you want more breathing room, you can use blocks right beneath the hands. Inhale, step forward. Take a moment, breathe. So there are 5 principles of alignment that I'm going to go over today. We layer them like a wonderful 5-layer cake. The order is important. Because if we do it out of order, it won't feel so great or we won't be able to go so deep. Everything in this principles of alignment are meant to complement one another. So we were just engaging the muscles and drawing in. There's a complement to that because we don't want to just hug in all the time. So step the right leg back, high lunge, round 3. And you take your breath, deep, steady breath. Once you've taken your breath, hug your thighs towards each other and isometrically draw the feet towards the hips. Now from here, imagine a string high on that right inner thigh and lift the inner thigh just an inch higher or so. So we're making space. Now as you draw the belly in, this time bring your hands up to your hips. And you're scooping your tailbone, toning the belly. So we're starting to bring in that 4th principle of alignment, of moving into the space we've created. Now, final breath here, extend the arms alongside the ears. And that 5th alignment piece is to lengthen from the core out to the periphery, up through the fingers, from the core of the belly, out through the legs, down through the feet. Exhale, hands to the floor, step forward, forward bend. Step left leg back, high lunge. Spreading those back toes. Breathe. So first principle of alignment, say yes to life, breathe. Second principle, hug those inner thighs towards each other and draw from the periphery to the core. It's just muscle engagement. Third principle, imagine a string on that back inner thigh and lift it an inch higher. You're making space. Fourth principle, as you scoop your tailbone, lift your chest. You're toning the belly. You're moving into the space you've made. And once you lift your chest, sweep your arms up alongside your ears. And you lengthen. The 5th principle, an expansion from the belly out through the fingers, from the belly down the legs into the feet. Gorgeous. Exhale, fingers to the floor and step forward, forward bend. Breathe. So one way to do the forward bend, one rule, is to have the feet hip distance wide and parallel from the center of the ankle to the second toe. Intentions are so important to get to when we're talking about rules, because sometimes there's a rule in place because of a specific intention, and if that intention shifts or changes, the rule is no longer beneficial. So the feet being hip distance wide is great when the hamstrings are feeling tight or you're still warming up. When the feet are more narrow and close together, the intention is different. We're more warmed up. We're looking to challenge our balance. We're looking to really draw in. On the next inhale, bring hands to the hips, draw the shoulder blades onto the back, push through the feet as you lift sides of the neck and come all the way up. Gorgeous. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen the chest forward. And on the exhale, step or jump to plank pose. Getting a little saucy. From plank, you're going to bend the arms and lower all the way to the belly. Inhale through cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hips lift up and back. Now from downward dog, we're going to go to the traditional warrior 1. So on the inhale, lift the right leg high to the sky, and with a big kick, swing the right foot forward between the hands. Swivel the back foot flat and bring the hands up to the hips. And we just pause. Notice where your right and left foot are. So traditional pose, you want your heels to line up. So wherever you landed is wonderful. Traditional alignment or rule, heel to heel. From here, I'm going to have you bring your fingers back down to the floor. Take a little mini break. We go a little unorthodox and widen your right foot 2 more inches to the right. So the feet are about hip distance wide. And then bring your hands back up to your hips. So we're breaking the rules, right? We're not heel to heel, but the principles remain. You take that deep breath in. You draw the legs towards the midline. You keep the back thigh strong, and as you scoop your tailbone, extend the arms alongside the ears and reach from the core of your belly out the fingers and down through the feet. Beautiful. Exhale, fingers to the floor. Step back, downward dog. Breathe. Even downward dogs, right? The distance between the hands and the feet. There are certain rules of alignment, but there's also principles of alignment. Sometimes our feet will be closer to our hands than other times. When we go to intention, why would that be? So getting ready for next side. Inhale, lift left leg high, and with a big kick, swing the foot forward between the hands. And we'll go right into the unorthodox. Widen your left foot 2 inches to the left. Swivel the back foot flat, so the feet are about hip distance wide. And then as you push through the feet, lift chest, sweep the arms up. And we breathe. And it's a living, dynamic experience. So it's a 5-layer cake that's always in flux, right? You still always welcome a breath in, even though you've done it once. You still engage the muscles. You still create space. You still move into that space and expand from it. Exhale, hands to the floor. Gorgeous. Step back, downward facing dog. Now from downward dog, shift into plank pose. And from plank pose, slowly bend the arms and lower all the way down. As you point the feet behind you, interlace your fingers behind your back. Press feet down, scoop tailbone. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other to lift the chest. So a little variation on locust. From here, we'll take it on the road. You're going to take that right foot pressed against the floor and roll towards the outer left shoulder. Props aren't in the way. And then you're going to come back through the middle. Use the left foot. Push off the floor. Roll all the way to the right. And you get that big shoulder stretch for right and left side. And then come back to the belly, lifting in the center one more time. Release the hands now next to the ribs. Curl the toes under and lift the hips up and back. That hair is the most perfect hairdo for this young. I love it. Wonderful. On the next inhale, lift the right leg high to the sky. We're going back to warrior one. Big kick, swing the foot forward between the hands. Swivel the back foot flat, so feet are still hip distance wide, and hands come to the hips. So now, a little hybrid of poses. As the feet press down and you isometrically draw them towards each other, so you have that muscle support, interlace the fingers behind the back. You're gonna lift from the chest all the way up, from the belly to the chest really. And as you draw the shoulder blades towards each other, reach the knuckles back towards the left heel. You're welcome to stay here, or you bring your chest a little to the diagonal on the left, right ear lowering towards right ankle and sticking your bottom out. So you're moving your inner thighs back. It's like when we lifted that inner thigh, we make space. Once you found your depth, tack the outer right hip back, tone the lower belly. One breath. Gorgeous. Push through the feet, lift the chest, sweep the arms up, and then we come out of the pose. Fingers to the floor. Beautiful, Yang. Step back. Downward dog. Breathe. And then we switch. Inhale, lift, left leg high to the sky. Big kick, swing that foot forward. Swivel back foot flat. Hands to the hips, and we've lifted chest. Now as you hug your legs towards each other, interlace the fingers behind you, other index finger on top. Lengthen from hips to underarms. Draw the shoulder blades towards one another. And then on the exhale, bow. left ear towards left inner ankle. You're sticking your bottom out behind you, making that space. Then once you've made the space, tack the outer left hip back, tone the belly, and allow the head to be heavy. One breath. And then push through the feet, the legs remain, lift the chest and sweep the arms high. And then on the exhale, hands to the floor, step back, downward facing dog. And Yang, it looks like, oh, I see you now. You froze for a moment. It is quite a pretty freeze frame. Breathe. On the next inhale, shift into plank pose. And from plank, bending the arms, slowly lower all the way to the belly. Come up onto the forearms and bring left forearm parallel to the top. You bend right leg, right hand reaches for foot. Pressing foot into the hand as you draw heel towards hip. And you can take whichever hand position feels good to you. That might mean you're holding onto the outer edge of the foot, or you release the foot, you rotate the arms so the thumb's pointing up like you're hitchhiking, and you hold the inside edge of the foot. Just keep your thighs hip distance wide, and don't let that shin veer to the side. And as you hug the thighs towards each other, it's a principle that will always be there no matter what the alignment is like. The technique or the technical aspect. And you draw the foot in towards the hip. The hand can rotate over the foot as you turn the forearm in. And we take one more breath. This becomes a big shoulder stretch. And on the exhale, release. Now, right arm in front, left leg bends. And you can hold onto pinky toe side of foot. The foot always presses into the hand, even as you draw the heel in. Or you can do the other hold, where you release the foot, rotate the arm so thumbs up. You hold inner edge. Your hand, like a little C shape, comes around the top of the foot. And then you turn the forearm in. And that might not work if your shoulder is not ready. So you just meet yourself where you are. One last breath. Exhale, release. Plant the hands next to the chest and lift up and back. Downward dog. Head heavy. From downward dog, looking forward, walk the feet to the front of your space, forward bend. Inhale, lengthen the chest forward. Exhale to fold. Inhale, arms sweep out like wings and all the way up. Beautiful. Take a wide stance. So wide stance just means when you reach the arms out, your wrist and your ankles line up. So traditional rules and traditional alignment. With the hands on the hips, turn left leg in, right leg open. So traditionally, for a side angle pose, right heel is in line with the arch of the left foot. You track right knee over ankle, you bring forearm to thigh, and you stretch the left arm alongside the ear. So these are just kind of traditional rules for the modified side angle. The principles of alignment always the same. You take the breath. You hug the legs towards one another. You hug to the midline. You make a little space by moving your inner thighs back slightly. You move into that space, toning the belly. And then you extend from the belly out to the periphery. That's just kind of the very high level view of it. We can get quite technical if we wanted to. Inhale, push through the feet to come up. Turn right leg in, left leg open. Left heel in line with right arch. Track knee over ankle, forearm to thigh. Breathe. That moment to breathe allows you to arrive. Sweep the arm alongside the ear. You tone the muscles by isometrically drawing feet towards each other. You keep the head of the right thigh bone moving back, even as you scoop the left sit bone beneath you and tone the tummy. And you actively lengthen from the belly out through fingers and down through feet. Inhale, push through the feet to come up. Turn left foot to be parallel. Okay, so with the hands on the hips, here's where we're gonna get a little wild. What you're gonna do is I'm gonna have you step your feet back to hip distance wide. From hip distance wide, you're gonna step your right foot forward about, so it's just kind of in line with your toes. So it's not too far, just in line with your toes. So instead of, in a moment, being lined up where we were heel to heel, you're going to bring that front foot to be more in alignment so that the heel would line up with the toes. So here's our little unorthodox experience. And you're just testing it here. So when you step right foot forward, kind of feel what that's like, and then switch, left foot forward. All right, and here it goes. Take wide stance, round two. You turn your left leg in, turn right leg open, and just for a moment, you've got heel and arch lining up. Then heel toe, nice and slowly, your right foot, so that the heel kind of lines up with the left toes, or maybe even a little in front of it. And then track right knee over ankle and stretch the leg straight. And we're gonna do that 2 more times. You track knee over ankle and then straighten. And final time, knee over ankle and straighten. Now this time, bring the knee over the ankle, bring the forearm to the thigh, and extend top arm alongside the ear. And you tone the belly, spinning the right ribs towards the heavens. Beautiful, Yang. And what this is doing is giving you a little bit more clearing in that back left thigh and hip. On the inhale, push through the feet to come up. This is always interesting getting out. So you're gonna widen your right heel and just step the feet back together and pause. Next side, widen feet. Turn right leg in, turn the left leg out, and then heel toe walk the left foot about a good foot, well, maybe 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches from where it was. And track knee over ankle and straighten. So this is just functional movement to get used to this odd alignment where we're breaking the rules. Not lined up heel to arch, but we can still maintain good alignment principles. Now this time, bend the knee, keep it over the ankle, forearm to thigh. Breathe. Tone the muscles of the legs. Encourage the top of the right thigh bone to stay rooting back even as you tone the belly. And you stretch the arm. And you should hopefully notice that the back leg has an easier time of turning in here, and the front leg an easier time of opening, an external rotation. On the inhale, push through the feet to come all the way up. Feet parallel, and you're gonna step back to hip distance and just pause and feel. On the inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Hold on to the left wrist and lengthen up and to the right. Come back through the center, hold on to the right wrist and lengthen up and to the left. Big side body stretch because we want to have lots of space between our ribs for a little binding exercise and yoga move we're going to do. Come back through center and release. Take a wide stance. Traditional alignment. Turn left leg in, right leg open. Track that right knee over the ankle. You're lined up heel to arch, forearm to thigh. From here, take your left arm, thumbs pointing down, and you bring the left hand behind you. And it can either come to the small of the back, The most important thing is you can keep the head of the shoulder back. If it's starting to pop forward, you slide your left hand more towards your left waistline. If it's doing well, maybe you slide your fingers to reach for the top of the right thigh. Beautiful. You draw the belly in, move the rib cage back, spin the chest a little more towards the sky. And as you hug the legs towards each other, if you're feeling very steady and strong through the core, see if you can lift your right elbow an inch and maybe even stretch that right arm to the diagonal. Beautiful, look at you go. Push through the feet, stretch the right leg straight, slide the left hand across the back, and we switch. Nice, turn right leg in, left leg open. Track the knee over the ankle, traditional lineup, left heel to right arch, forearm to thigh. Extend your right arm, thumbs pointing down, bend the arm, hand just to the small of the back. You want to make sure you can keep head of the shoulder back. If you're doing well, slide your hand across the back, maybe for the top of the thigh. Hug the legs towards each other, so we're not just collapsing, but we draw in. Engage your belly. Test the waters, lifting left elbow an inch. Maybe stretching left arm to the diagonal. Gorgeous. Push through the feet, stretch the left leg straight. Slide the right hand across the back. Feet parallel. Interlace the hands behind you. Lengthen from hips to underarms, side bodies long. And as you draw the shoulders back, feel the opening in the chest and keep the opening even as you bring the heart and head forward. Wide angle forward bend. Now, super important here that the shoulder blades continue to draw towards each other and the sky. That'll tone the muscles around the neck, keeping you safe so the room doesn't spin when you come up, because it regulates the blood flow into the head. It's not just pouring in here. And on the next inhale, push through the feet, lift the sides of the neck, head of the shoulders, come all the way up. Wonderful. Step or jump the feet back together. And breathe. You're going to bring the arms out like little wings. And the feet can be an inner hip distance. Eagle arms. Bring your right arm on top, and then making your forearms vertical, you're going to see if those palms are willing to meet. Wonderful. Taking one breath here. On the exhale, release. And we switch, left arm on top. Palms come to one another. Lower the chin towards the chest, just a quarter of an inch or so the back of the neck is long. On the exhale, release. And release the arms. Wonderful. One more wide stance. As you take the feet wide, traditional lineup, turn left leg in, right leg open. So right heel to left arch. Track the knee over the ankle and bring the forearm to the thigh. Now, if you're doing well here, keep hugging the legs towards each other. You bring your chest a little to the diagonal and you move your bottom back. So I'm going to change angles so you can really see what's happening there. So I'm lined up heel to arch. I tone my muscles, and then I bring my chest to the diagonal and I stick my bottom out. Makes it a little easier to bring your right fingers down to the floor, to the big toe side of the foot. Then from here, we want to move into the space we've made. So you scoop your tailbone, you tone the belly, and as you scoop that right sit bone underneath you, you see how your bottom comes back in. It doesn't stay sticking out. It's a tummy workout. And as you press right forearm and leg against each other, spin the chest to the sky, and reach that left arm up. And if you're doing well here, you can playfully bind. You're going to bring your chest to the diagonal again, stick your bottom out. You bend your left arm, bringing the hand behind you, and you slide your right arm underneath. You have to lower your chest a little to see if you can find your hands. If you do, Hold on. If you don't, you can use a belt. Scoop your tailbone, tone the belly, spin the chest back to the sky. It's a long time on the one side, I know. And then on the exhale, look to the floor, release that right hand, push through the feet to come all the way up. You're amazing. And we'll switch. So turn right leg in, left leg open. This is great internal core strength you're building through these hip openers. Track left knee over the ankle, forearm to thigh to start. You hug the legs towards each other to feel that steadiness. Then bring your chest to the diagonal a little bit. Slide the left hand down to the floor. And then scooping that left sit bone beneath you, toning the belly. Spin the chest to the sky and reach the right arm high. Ah, big inner thigh stretch. Gorgeous, young. You're welcome to stay here or you can bind. You bring your right hand to your hip and you move the chest to the diagonal, sticking your bottom out. Slide your right arm behind you. Slide the left arm beneath the leg. And as you lower your head and chest, see if your fingers find one another. If they do, scoop your tailbone, tone the belly, spin the chest to the sky. If they don't and you don't have a belt to use, just bring those left fingers back to the ground and right arm to the sky. Otherwise, one more breath. It's a big tummy workout, an inner hip opener. And then release left hand to the floor. Push through hand and foot to come all the way up. Feet parallel. And then step or jump back together. And we'll turn towards the top of the sticky mat. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, forward bend, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen the chest forward. And on the exhale, step back, plank pose. From plank, lower through chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Big breath. Now continuing along those inner thigh, inner hip openings, you're gonna lift the right leg high to the sky. I'm getting playful, big kick. Swing the right foot forward between the hands, high lunge. Then lower the left knee to the floor and pause. Breathe. First principle, say yes to life, say yes to your breath. Second principle, tone the muscles. You press right foot down, left knee, spreading those left toes, and you isometrically draw foot and knee towards each other so you feel the back of the right thigh tone, the front of the left thigh engaged. Bring your right arm to the inside of the right leg. Now from here, keep the outer left shin hugging in as you walk your hands diagonally to the left. So here we're making the space, the third principle, making more room. If you're doing well, lower left elbow to the floor, maybe even the right. Now the elbows might not want to come down. That's where a block can come into play. And you figure out if you want blocks beneath the elbows or not. If you are doing well, as you engage your belly, you can walk your elbows more towards the center of your mat so that eventually that the right elbow is kind of in line with the right inner edge of your foot. As you tone your belly, if you're still doing well, keep those left toes curled under. Imagine a string high on the left inner thigh that lifts up and your knee floats up away from the floor. And then slowly lower the knee back down. Come up to the hands. And we go back to downward dog. So a hand on either side of the foot. We step back. Breathe. Head heavy. So really warming up hips, inner thighs, hamstrings, the legs. We switch. Lift left leg high to the sky. And with a big kick, swing the foot forward. Lower the knee and breathe. So part of being connected to our breath as well is that we won't push beyond our breath when we're aware of it. If we're holding our breath, If our breath gets very unsteady or uneven, it's a sign that we're going too far. So you go back to the point where the breath is steady. And we'll bring the hands to the inside of the leg. And you breathe. You just see, can I welcome in a steady breath? You isometrically draw the foot and knee towards each other. Walk the hands diagonally to the right. If you're still doing well, experiment right elbow, left elbow. And you're tacking your outer left hip back. It's going to want to fly forward, but we keep it toned. And you breathe. If you're doing well here, walk the elbows a little bit more towards the center of the sticky mat. And you take a breath. And then on the next inhale, you're going to come up to the hands, step back, downward facing dog. And from downward dog, slowly, we're going to take one more breath actually. You're going to slowly walk the feet forward, forward bend. Bring the hands to the hips, shoulder blades out of the back, the sides of the neck can come all the way up. It's one more hamstring opener I want to do standing. So step your left foot back about 2.5, 3 feet. And the feet lined up hip distance wide. So this is Parsvottanasana, pyramid. As you press down through the mound of the right big toe, so right beneath that big toe knuckle, you're rooting down. You're going to square your hips to the front of your space, lift up through the chest, and on the exhalation, come forward, bringing hands in the direction of the floor. Now, if the floor is not there, use blocks, hands on a chair or a tabletop, or you can even bend your front knee. But take a breath. So the feet being hip distance wide is a little bit of rule breaking, right? Traditionally, it's heel to heel. But this makes it more stable, a little more friendly for the hamstrings. So we go through the principles of alignment, taking a breath. I'm going to have you even micro bend your right knee an inch or so, and you tone the muscles of the legs, encouraging from the arch of the foot, the calf to tone, the thigh to draw up towards the hip. And as you keep that muscle tone, I'm going to have you take your right hand to the back of the right thigh. So you've got the back of the knee, and you come up an inch or two. And as you hug the back of the thigh, don't let the mound of the right big toe come up. It stays down. Your right shin stays hugging in, but you broaden your hamstring muscles to the right. And you do the same thing mid-thigh. You slide the hand up a little, nice young, and then all the way up towards the sit bone. And you broaden, gorgeous. That's making the space. Then you take your right thumb and you hook it into your right hip crease, right where hip and thigh meet, and tack that outer right hip back, toning the belly and folding deeply. And then to come up, slide both hands to the hips, push the right foot into the floor as you lift up. Step forward, and we switch. Step right leg back. Square the hips, lifting through the chest, shoulder blades draw towards one another. And on the exhale, forward fold, gorgeous, hands to the floor. Breathe. Nothing to change, nothing to fix. We're wonderful as we are. Just allow yourself to arrive. And then we can fine tune. Bend your left knee 1/2 inch. You're still spreading your toes, rooting down through the mound of the left big toe. And you take your left hand to the back of the inner thigh, or the back of the thigh, I should say. Your fingers wrap around towards inner thigh. And you hug the muscles to the bone and you broaden them to the left. You slide up a few inches to mid-thigh and you hug those hamstring muscles and you broaden them to the left. And then up towards the sit bone, you hug and you broaden. And then left thumb comes to hip crease, tack that left hip crease back so the hips are really square with the front of your space. Tone the belly and fold deeply. You can even release the left hand back to the floor for a moment. And breathe. And then on the next inhale, bring the hands to the hips. Draw the shoulder blades onto the back, and as you push through the left foot, come up and step forward. Beautiful. Inhale, sweep the arms high. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, lengthen the chest forward. And on the exhale, step back, downward dog. And from downward dog, child's pose. Lower the knees to the floor, big toes together, knees wide. And bring your hips back towards your heels. Resting the forehead on whatever is available. Just one breath here. And then on the next inhale, you're going to slowly sit up. And as you sit up, stretch your legs forward in front of you. Okay, now the next one we're going to do is a little playful. So I'm thinking back to a pose that I did young that you commented on. You're like, that looks like fun. It's that balancing pose. I did it on the side of the wall. It's a Eka Pada Koundinyasana II, named after a sage. I don't even know what the English equivalent would be. So what we're going to do to kind of get towards that experience, and I'll show you what it is later on so you guys can know for those who are watching replay. But for now, I'm going to have you just bend your, and I'll do it this way first, bend your left leg kind of like you're going to a simple cross-legged position. And this is really here for balance. Then you're going to bend your right leg so the foot is flat on the floor and the knee pointing up to the sky. This is stage one. So it's all about the different stages and going to the place where your breath is steady. Now stage two, you're going to flex the right foot, lift the ball of the foot up off the floor. You're going to take your right arm to the inside of the right leg, and the right hand holds onto the pinky toe side of the foot. Then you lift up, and that's just to give you kind of clearance room so that your knee doesn't get stuck. You lift the foot up, and both hands hold onto the foot, and you're pushing foot and hand into each other as you draw your knee back. And I'm going to change so you can see it from here. Beautiful, young. You got it. So foot's pressing into hand even as you're drawing back. And you're trying to sit up somewhat tall. If you find you're really rounding and you're going to fall backwards, place a little height like a pillow underneath your bottom. And then release, and we'll switch. So you have your right leg bent, left leg is in front. Left arm comes to the inside of the leg, but you hold onto the pinky toe side of that foot. And then right hand comes to join. You're pressing foot into hand and drawing the knee back. So if I were to let go of my foot, it would spring forward. That's how much I'm pressing forward. And I'm trying to sit tall. If you can't grab a hold of your foot, you could have a belt around it, or you could even be here. All right, and then release. Round two. You've got your left leg bent, right leg in front. Right arm comes to the inside. You lift the foot, and you have both hands holding on. Okay, stage two. You're going to take your left hand off the foot. You're going to rotate the left arm so the thumb's pointing down, kind of like a little boo. And then your left hand comes to hold across the top of the right foot so the pinky finger, pinky finger kind of lines up with pinky toe. Your right arm, you reach up to the sky, so this takes tummy work to stay upright. And you bring your right arm between left arm and leg. And you can use your hand to widen your right calf to the right. And you kind of slide your right arm underneath your thigh. And you plant your right hand close to your right hip with the crease of the wrist parallel to the space in front of you. And you're just pressing foot and hand into each other. You're sitting relatively upright. And then you're going to leave the leg where it is and really kind of clamp it down on the arm. So you want it to be above the elbow. If it's lower than the elbow, then just kind of take it where you are. You're going to be staying there. If it's above the elbow, clamp the leg on the arm, and just take the other hand off and place it palm flat next to hip, just like this. All right, and then you're gonna release. We switch. This does go somewhere, I promise. Right leg comes in front and left leg. Bring the left arm to the inside, hold onto the pinky to the side of the foot, and you're here. Maybe you stay here. Or right hand comes off, thumb points down, hold the top of the foot, left arm reaches up. You thread the left arm between other arm and leg, and you can use your hand to widen your calf to the left and kind of wiggle the leg high on the left arm, trying to get it above the elbow. That's it, Young. And you plant the left hand just next to your hip. I'm going to move this foot so you can kind of see creases of the wrist parallel to the front of the space. Clamp the leg onto the arm, see if it's willing to stay, and you bring your right hand down. Just kind of getting used to that awkwardness. Beautiful. And then you can slide that foot off. Okay, so I'm going to show you another aspect to this. We are going to go back to that lunge, okay? And it's going to be similar to what we were doing seated. You're going to experiment with lowering one elbow. So it's kind of like you can even hold onto the top of your foot. This is what we were doing cross-legged. The other hand comes to the calf, and you kind of broaden the calf to the right, and you wiggle your right arm underneath the leg. You just want to get it above the elbow. It doesn't have to get over the shoulder. So as you're ready, and I see you're there, Young, beautiful. You have your left leg behind you, right leg's forward, isometrically drawing towards each other. Your right arm threads, and you plant the hand. Now, if you're doing well here, you can plant your left hand also flat on the mat. So it's like chaturanga arms, okay? So it's not going to be way far forward, but the hands are back in line with the heel. Then from here, you're just squeezing right leg around right arm, and maybe you lift the left knee away from the floor. And it's like you're doing chaturanga a little bit, but you've got your right leg around the arm. And then lower that left knee down. We're going to come out, unwind, and we'll switch legs. So it's all stages because it's a really awkward thing. You're going to swing your left foot forward. You isometrically draw the legs towards each other. And then as you move your inner thighs back, or you stick your bottom out, lower your right forearm. Hand can hold foot. Left hand comes to the inside of leg. Widen the calf to the left. And you try to bring your left arm under your leg. Hand plants. It might work, it might not. So you kind of play with what's working for you. You're welcome to stay here or bring your right hand to a chaturanga-like position. The left leg is slowly clamping the left arm. Maybe you lift the right inner knee, right inner thigh away from the floor so that the knee floats up. Just getting used to this. And then lower the knee, unwind the torso, bring that left leg back, and just sit on the heels for a moment. So Young, on my screen, oh, there you are. Every time it's like the magic words. As soon as I'm about to say you froze, you unfreeze. Excellent. Okay, we're gonna play with one more variation of this. This is kind of tricky to get all on your own at home. Not impossible, but I don't want it to frustrate you. I wanna just kind of offer you a place to potentially fly towards over time. You're going to do either just what we did, and if that didn't work, you can kind of go back to the seated version, or, and I'm going to change so you can see from this angle, this time, when you come into the pose, maybe keeping the back knee on the floor, you wiggle, wiggle, wiggle this front foot to the diagonal a little bit. You bend the other arm like you're going to chaturanga, and maybe you lift that foot up off the floor. But notice I'm trying to keep my shoulders at elbow height. Coming out of it, you bend. I'm going to show you from the other direction. I think this way would be good. Okay, so when you're here, right, my back knee's on the floor, isometrically drawing towards each other so I feel stable. I spider walk my front foot forward. Here's a little key. When I bend my arm, I'm going to use my elbow a little bit initially just to kind of gain leverage and tuck it towards the ribs. I lift that foot, or maybe I'll lift that knee, okay? And then we come up. So it's working towards it. So here it goes. As you're ready, you bring right leg forward. You wiggle right arm underneath, plant the hands. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you start to wiggle your left foot to the diagonal. Maybe you stay there. Maybe as you hug the legs towards each other, you bring a little more weight onto the left arm, and you lift the left foot. The right toe's curled under. Maybe you even lift the back inner thigh and the knee floats up. Gorgeous, young. Tone the belly, bend that left leg, and come all the way up. Oh, I know, it is crazy, crazy. Hip opener, hamstring, tummy work. Oh my God, what is she doing? All right, we only have one more side. Thank God we're not an octopus. Okay, here it goes. And there's different ways to learn this and techniques, but the pose we're going for, eventually you lift the back foot up off the floor. Okay, so here it goes. Right leg's forward. You wiggle right arm underneath. Hands are planted just like chaturanga. They're not way far forward. They're in line with the heel. You bend the arm, wiggle right foot to the diagonal. Lift that back inner thigh. I think you're on left, I'm sorry. That's it. Take one more breath. You got it. So that left foot, you're wiggling to the diagonal. Maybe you lift your right knee away from the floor, one breath. And then bend the left leg. Push through the hands to come up. And child's pose. Are you in one piece, Yang? Are you okay? All right, good. We'll just take a little breather in child's pose. There's so many components with some of these wilder yoga poses. There's flexibility components. There's just physics and leverage. Sometimes it's not that we can't do it. It's just, where do I put my body to get myself there? And that comes with experimenting, playing, time on your mat. And sometimes it's just kind of cultivating the strength. So one more deep breath. And on the inhale, you slowly sit up. We're going to swing the legs forward and come all the way down to our back. Definitely a wild day. And stretch the arms overhead. On the exhale, hug the knees into the chest and rock right hip to left hip. Little massaging. And then legs still bent, lower the feet down to the floor. Widen the feet to be a little wider than your hips. And then knees to the right. And as knees go to the right, stretch the left arm alongside your ear. So a way to open up the whole front chain of the body, the thigh, the belly, the shoulder, because arm balances are great tummy toners, great alternatives to a traditional type of sit-up to tone your core. And we switch directions, knees go to the left, right arm extends. You just simply breathe. Steady, even breath. Down the inhale, you come back through the center. Hug the knees into the chest. And Shavasana. You made it. So you stretch both legs straight, the arms alongside the body, and breathe. So we always go back to the breath. And it seems so silly. I know at times, because our breath is automatic. Why do we need to think about it? But simply even just bringing our attention to the breath itself creates a feeling of calm, centeredness, grounding. It's our awareness that makes all the difference. So it becomes the intention behind the breath. Just like the intention behind the technique in the yoga poses. And we realize it's not so much about rules as it is, why are we doing the things we're doing? And does it line up with my principles? Soften the soles of the feet and relax the toes. Relax calves and backs of the knees, the thighs and the hips. Relax the belly, chest, the neck and the shoulders. Relax upper arms, inner elbows, the forearms and the palms. Relax the whole head, softening the face and even the jaw. And then welcoming a deeper breath. Wiggle fingers and toes. And in your time, bend the legs. Roll to your side. Mindfully use the hands to press all the way up. And I invite you to close with me, singing an Om. Let's welcome our breath now. I honor the light within you. Namaste. So thank you so much for joining me, Yang. How are you after that crazy pose?
That was a fun pose. I need to figure out the balance points, but it was a fun one for sure.
Oh, good. So yeah, so just an introduction this week. Next time when you can come play, we'll dive deeper into those balance points because there's little tricks you can do with yoga blocks or like with a step, you know, on the stairs so that you get that feeling of freedom and flying. But yeah, just a quick intro. Oh, you froze.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for joining me. All right. Well, I will catch you on the flip side and safe travels this weekend.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye.